Before I reveal today's secrets, I want to ask you something. Have you ever spent 30 minutes styling your hair, only to glance in the mirror a few hours later and wonder where all the volume went? Your roots looked lifted. Your crown looked fuller. Everything seemed perfect. Then somehow, before lunchtime, your hair had completely fallen flat. If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. And here's the controversial truth most women over 50 never hear. The styling techniques that worked beautifully at 30 can actually make fine hair look thinner at 60, 70, and beyond. Yet millions of women are still following advice designed for a completely different head of hair. The result? More teasing. More hairspray. More heat. More frustration. And less volume. Today, on Graceful Cheek After 50, we're uncovering 7 surprisingly simple secrets that professional stylists use to make fine hair appear fuller, thicker, and more youthful. Some of these take less than 10 seconds. One of them costs absolutely nothing, and another may completely change the way you think about hair care after 60. Stay with me until the end, because secret number 7 is where many women unknowingly sabotage all the hard work they've done. And I have a feeling a lot of viewers are going to disagree with one of these points. So when you hear it, tell me in the comments if you agree or disagree. Now, if you're passionate about looking elegant, confident, and stylish after 50, make sure you're subscribed to Graceful Cheek After 50, because we have many more conversations like this coming your way. Let's begin. Number 1. The 10-second parting trick that creates instant volume. Let's start with the fastest transformation on today's list. In fact, you can do this before this video ends. Take a moment and think about your parting. Have you worn the exact same part for years? Maybe even decades? Most women do. And that's precisely the problem. When hair falls in the same direction every single day, it gradually settles into that position. The roots flatten, the scalp becomes more visible, and the crown starts looking thinner than it actually is. What many women mistake for hair loss is often a visibility problem. The scalp is simply becoming easier to see. Here's where things get interesting. The eye notices contrast. When your scalp reflects light, and your hair appears darker beside it, that straight part creates a bright stripe running through your hair. The wider that stripe appears, the thinner your hair looks. So instead of accepting it, break it. Move your part slightly. Not dramatically. Just half an inch can make a remarkable difference. Suddenly, roots that have been lying flat are forced into a new position, and they naturally lift away from the scalp. No mousse, no spray, no teasing, just lift. Then take it one step further. Rather than drawing a perfectly straight part, create a gentle zigzag with the tail end of a comb. Those tiny shifts encourage strands to cross over one another, helping disguise visible scalp and creating the appearance of greater density. Now here's something that surprises many people. Hair doesn't actually learn where to grow. You've probably heard someone say, "Your hair is trained to part that way." Not exactly. Your follicles aren't being retrained. What changes is the way the hair falls due to gravity and habit, which means you can absolutely outsmart it. Try changing your part every few days. Move it slightly left, then slightly right. Think of it as rotating your tires. You're preventing one area from becoming permanently flattened. And the best part? The result is immediate. Tell me in the comments, have you worn the same part for years, or do you regularly change it? I'd love to know. Now let's move to a secret that may challenge everything you've been told about haircuts. Number 2. Why layers might be making fine hair look thinner. This is where things get controversial. Because for years, women with fine hair have been told exactly the same thing. You need layers. You need texture. You need thinning shears. But what if that's actually making the problem worse? Now, before the hairstylists come after me in the comments, let's clarify. Layers can be beautiful on the right hair type. But on very fine hair, especially after 60, too much texturizing can remove the very thing you're trying to create. Fullness. Think about the ends of your hair. When they're cut bluntly, they create a strong visual edge. The eye sees density, it sees structure, it sees volume. But when those same ends are heavily razored or texturized, they become wispy and transparent. Suddenly, the hair looks thinner, even if you haven't lost a single strand. One respected stylist described it perfectly. She said she'd rather remove an extra half-inch of length than shred the ends of fine hair. Because once those ends lose density, it's incredibly difficult to get it back. A blunt perimeter creates what I like to call a visual wall. More strands end in the same place. Light reflects more evenly, and the hair instantly appears fuller. Many women find that chin-length to collarbone-length cuts strike the perfect balance. Long enough to frame the face. Short enough to prevent excessive weight from pulling everything downward. If you're visiting your stylist, consider having a conversation about preserving density. You may be surprised by how much difference one clean, solid line can make. And speaking of things that hold volume, let's talk about a button many women completely ignore. Number 3. The most important button on your hairdryer. Quick question. How many of you use the Cool Shot button? Be honest. Most women don't. And yet it may be one of the most powerful volume tools you already own. Here's why. After lifting a section of hair with a round brush and warming it with your dryer, don't immediately let it fall. Instead, hit it with cool air for 5 to 10 seconds while it's still lifted. Then release it. That's it. Simple, but incredibly effective. The reason comes down to science. Hair contains hydrogen bonds that temporarily reshape when heat is applied. As the hair cools, those bonds reset. Whatever position the hair is in when it cools becomes the position it wants to keep. So if it cools flat, it stays flat. If it cools lifted, it stays lifted. Think of the Cool Shot as a lock. You're locking volume into place. But there's another important lesson here. Never aggressively brush soaking wet hair. This is especially important for fine hair after 50. Wet hair stretches more easily, and excessive tension can weaken already fragile strands. Instead, allow hair to partially dry first. Then style. Warm air shapes. Cool air sets. That simple habit can make the difference between volume that lasts 1 hour and volume that lasts all day. Now let's move from styling tricks to something that may actually influence the quality of your hair over time. Number 4. The 2-minute habit that could support thicker hair. This might be the easiest secret on today's list. No products, no appointments, no special equipment, just your fingertips. Place the pads of your fingers on your scalp. Not your nails, your fingertips. Then gently move the scalp in small circular motions. Focus especially on the crown and temples. Spend 2 or 3 minutes doing this each day. That's all. Why does it matter? Because research has suggested that regular scalp massage may help support thicker-looking hair over time. Scientists studying daily scalp massage observed measurable increases in hair thickness among participants after several months. The proposed explanation involved mechanical stimulation of the scalp that may influence follicle activity. Notice something important there. Several months, not several days. We live in a world that promises overnight miracles. Hair doesn't work that way. Consistency matters. And this is where many people quit. If you stick with it patiently, you may begin noticing improvements that become more apparent over time. Think of it as a small investment in your future hair. 2 minutes today. Potential benefits later. Not a bad trade. And now we're arriving at a secret that many women overlook completely. Color. Number 5. Why one hair color may be highlighting your thinning areas. Here's another statement that might spark some debate. A single flat color can sometimes make fine hair appear thinner, especially when it's very dark. Now don't misunderstand me. Dark hair can be absolutely stunning. But when every strand is the exact same shade, visible scalp often becomes more noticeable. Why? Contrast. Again, the eye sees light and dark. A bright scalp against a uniform dark backdrop creates a stronger visual separation. That's why dimensional color often works so beautifully. Subtle highlights, soft lowlights, gentle variations in tone. These create movement and visual depth. Instead of seeing scalp first, the eye sees texture, light, and dimension. Many women also discover something unexpected when they embrace their natural silver. Silver hair reflects light differently. It creates softness, movement, and elegance. In fact, let's discuss something in the comments. Do you think women should embrace their natural silver hair after 60? Or do you believe coloring is always the better option? There are strong opinions on both sides, and I'd love to hear yours. Whatever you choose, remember this: dimension tends to disguise thinning. Flatness tends to reveal it. And that principle remains true regardless of color. Now let's talk about what happens while you're asleep, because this next secret may shock you. Number 6. The overnight habit that crushes volume. Imagine spending all morning creating beautiful lift and volume, then spending 8 hours undoing it. That's exactly what's happening for many women. The culprit? Your pillowcase. Traditional cotton creates more friction than many people realize. As your hair rubs against it during the night, the cuticle can become roughened, volume gets flattened, strands become tangled, and hair often looks less polished by morning. Silk and satin create a smoother surface. Hair glides rather than drags. Styles remain more intact, and many women notice less morning frizz. Now let's be realistic. A silk pillowcase isn't magic. It won't suddenly double your hair thickness, but it can reduce unnecessary friction. And when fine hair is already delicate, every little advantage matters. Sometimes, the best beauty upgrades aren't dramatic. They're simply smarter, which brings us to the final secret, and arguably the most important one. Number 7. The products that quietly destroy volume. If you've stayed with me this far, this may be the game changer. Most women think volume disappears because they need more product. Often the opposite is true. They need less. Fine hair after 60 is incredibly sensitive to weight. Even small amounts of heavy residue can drag everything downward. So here's a simple habit. Before buying a product, glance at the ingredient list. Heavy ingredients near the top may weigh delicate hair down. Many women find that lightweight volumizing formulas work better for fine hair because they help preserve movement and lift. Another important habit? Keep conditioner primarily on the mid-lengths and ends. Avoid loading the roots. Your roots are where volume begins, and they're the last place that needs extra weight. Many women are amazed by how much fuller their hair looks once they stop over-conditioning the scalp area. Sometimes volume isn't about adding. It's about removing. Removing buildup. Removing excess weight. Removing habits that no longer serve your hair. And that brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The women whose hair looks effortlessly beautiful at 70 aren't necessarily blessed with more hair. They're often working smarter, not harder. They understand that fine hair doesn't respond well to force. It responds to strategy, a fresh part, a blunt perimeter, a cool shot, a daily scalp massage, dimensional color, a smoother pillowcase, and lighter products. None of these are dramatic, yet together, they can completely transform the way fine hair looks and behaves. And perhaps that's the real secret to beauty after 50. Not doing more, doing what works. Now tell me in the comments, which of these 7 secrets surprised you the most? And if you have your own favorite volume trick, share it below, because someone in our Graceful Cheek After 50 community may discover exactly the solution they've been looking for. And remember, style doesn't disappear with age. Sometimes it simply evolves. And when you learn to work with your hair, instead of against it, beautiful volume becomes much easier to achieve.